Welcome to Mind Body Monday. I'm so happy to see you all here. And if you are a newcomer, welcome to you. And if you're watching this live or you're watching a replay, I invite you to look back at the first Mind Body Monday, because there I outlined the purpose, the structure, and most importantly, what's in it for you. Why bother coming to the Mind Body Mondays? Because these are jam-packed sessions that will really level up your health, specifically relating to gut health, which is the root of our immune system and our health, and mind-body health too. So I ended off last session on leaving you with a challenge. So I'm just curious how many of you actually did the challenge or thought about doing the challenge or know about the challenge, because at the end of today's sessions, when I leave you with some really important take-homes, I'm going to leave you with an invitation or challenge as well. So last session, I covered a very important topic that I see frequently in the clinic. The last 30 years, it's actually, I'm seeing it with greater and greater prevalence, and that is leaky gut syndrome. And I went into that in the previous session, so you can check out that replay. Now, the 5-part approach to treat leaky gut through functional medicine is remove, repair, restore, repopulate, and relax. So check out the last session to understand what all that means. However, the challenge related to the 5th element, which is relax. And I invited you and the challenge to drink more water, because that's part of relaxing the gut. And I spoke about an ounce of water for each pound of body weight, to practice the breathing in 4s, which I shared last session, improving sleep by an extra 15 to 20 minutes, appropriate exercise, or improving or mending one relationship. And you get to choose just one of those. I'm just curious, if any of you managed to think about it or do it, go ahead and type that in the chat. I'm really curious to know how you go along with that. And I'll be sharing a new challenge towards the end with some key takeaways. So in the meantime, if you are new here, or if you have come to Mind Body Monday before, I'm curious if you actually have a diagnosis. Do you actually have a digestive diagnosis? Or if you've ever had any digestive discomfort, be it gas, heartburn, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, a stomach bug, go ahead, just type in the chat if you've ever had any digestive distress before. Because over the last 30 years in private practice, I haven't yet, myself included, I haven't yet come across with anybody who hasn't. I'm just curious, do any of you have a current diagnosis or are struggling to overcome and heal yourself from some sort of digestive disorder? Go ahead, type that in the chat. And as you're doing that, I'm seeing that someone's written in, yes, they worked on drinking more water and getting more sleep. Okay, you overstepped yourself because you did 2 of the challenges and you're only supposed to really pick one. So that means you've got better health twice over. Well done. So anyone got an actual diagnosis? I'm just curious. And if you're watching a replay, go ahead, type in the comments, because I am checking out the comments. That'll give me an opportunity to know who's showing up, most importantly, how to address and what to address in the Mind Body Monday sessions, because this work is about you and less about me. I want to serve you. I want to help you. I want to help you take your health to the next level. So there are 2 topics I'm going to address. The first one, I'm going to share with you a mind-body meditation process that I love. I was introduced to it many, many years ago by a teacher of mine. And I've been practicing it ever since and teaching it. And I'll be sharing that with you shortly. The second topic I'm going to be covering tonight is lactose intolerance, and how sinister it could be, what it is, what it isn't, how to differentiate it from just having a milk allergy, and many other key take-homes, even if you are not lactose intolerant, that will be really relevant to you or to a loved one. So welcome. I'm going to invite you for the next 5 minutes or so to do a check-in process with me, and then I'm going to introduce you to this new breathing exercise if it's new to you, because each time I do it, I try and open freshly into it. And this particular breathing method really connects the mind and the body together, and hence Mind-Body Monday. Sometimes during our week, it's so busy, we get caught up in our head and we forget our bodies, or sometimes we get so involved with distress, we forget to look at the bigger picture and realize there's so much more to life than the current pain or struggle that we're dealing with. And sometimes that helps to soften things up a little bit. Now, there are specific advantages or benefits to what I'm going to share with you. This technique is called the soft belly breath. And there are many reasons why this happens to be one of my favorite, but the benefits of soft belly breathing. One of them, it activates the diaphragm, which is the muscle underneath the rib cage, which really allows the lungs to expand and contract. And through that, it relaxes and massages the internal organs, the digestive organs specifically from the inside. The soft belly breath also stimulates the vagus nerve, and on future Mind-Body Mondays, I'll go into that a little bit more. The vagus nerve is so important because it stimulates what's called the parasympathetic system, which is the relaxation response, and counters the fight and flight stress response. So it's a very powerful regulating system, the parasympathetic nervous system, which activates and speeds up our healing. It can also help with feeling stressed and overwhelmed, this technique, and helps people who are suffering from insomnia, helps to control hyperventilation if people are having a hard time with asthma, and it helps down-regulate from a stressful, busy day and eases panic and worry. So there are a lot of good things coming out of this very simple and elegant technique. Before we go into it, I will just going to ask you, and again, if you're watching the replay, I invite you really to take part fully, unless you're driving when you're watching or listening and you want to bookmark this to do it another time. But take a moment, just close your eyes for a minute. And at the same time, and just make sure your phone is, unless you're watching from your phone or listening from your phone, just you have less disturbances around you, other browsers, other windows, your phone off on vibrate, etc. Just close your eyes for a minute and take a gentle, deep breath in. And as you breathe out, just allow your shoulders to drop down. So much through our day, being on our phone and with stress, our shoulders tend to creep up around our ears. So just take a moment just to encourage them to drop down so softly. And then another nice deep cleansing breath in. This time as you breathe out, softly allow your back to rest against the back of your chair. And allow your face and your chest and your belly to settle and soften. And then one more gentle breath in. This time as you breathe out, just allow all the busyness from your day or anticipated busyness just to be put to a side for a moment as you carve a little island in time for me time, for healing time. Allow your breathing to settle down to rhythm and pace that's comfortable for you. We're just going to do a very quick check-in before I give you instructions how to get all the benefits from the soft belly breath. So just take a moment and scan your body, noticing if there's any tension or tightness anywhere in your physical body. And if you can rate your stress levels or your fatigue levels or your emotional overwhelm or tide levels or whatever it happens to be for you from 1 to 5. 5 is high stress, high pain, high fatigue, high overwhelm, whatever it happens to be for you. And 1 is really relaxed, present, chilled. Just get a subjective score, holding off any judgments. And just allow a number to pop up into your mind, just give you a sense before we actually start the meditation, what is present to you. So I'm aware of a 2 right now. Go ahead and then, if you have a number, just allow your eyes to softly open and go ahead and just type in the chat. Just a sense of how What stress do you feel in your body and your mind or in your emotions from 1 to 5? And if you're watching a replay, go ahead, type that in the chat too, in the comments. So 5 is high stress, high tension, and 1 is really, really still and calm and present. So go ahead, just type in the chat. What came up for you? What number? Very subjective, quick subjective show of where you are present to, what you're present to. Very good. Very good. So the soft belly breathing technique is a process that I'm going to guide you through shortly. I'm going to put on some background music as well. We tend to hold a lot of tension in our belly, and we tend to suck or hold our belly back, either to look good or doing it unconsciously because the belly pops out or bulges out, or we just got used to or habituated to really tucking in our belly, and it really constricts and constrains our digestive organs, our stomach, our large intestine, our small intestine, and it really prevents that full, rich diaphragmatic breathing that has all the benefits that I shared with you. So I'm going to guide you through around a 5-minute mind-body process called the soft belly breathing technique. And I've done it with myself and teach larger groups for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. We're only going to dip into it today for 5 minutes. And you can always continue on your own. So when I say so, I'm going to invite you just to, once again, close your eyes, make yourself comfortable. I'm going to put on some background music. You just follow my voice. And if you have any loose, any belts around your waist or any restrictive clothing, it's a good idea now to just loosen your belt or loosen a button or something so you have the space to allow your belly to be soft. And I'm going to guide you through the process now. And all you need to do is just follow along. And we're going to do it pretty short, about 5 minutes. And then I'm going to check in with you again. And then we'll take some comments. Okay, so taking a nice deep breath in. As you breathe out, allow your eyes to softly close. And if you want to peek, you can anytime, it's no problem. Taking a nice deep breath in again. I invite you really to, if this is a first for you, just play along, just get a sense of what's this like for you, have an open mind. And if you've done something like this before, then you're welcome to deepen into your process. So sitting comfortably where you are in a chair or sometimes lying down, loosening any belts or buckles around the waist. And allow your breathing to settle down to rhythm and pace. It's just natural and comfortable for you. And allow your breathing just to happen for you in your body, to arrive in your body. There's nothing you need to do. And as you breathe in, allow the breath to flow into your body, into the lower abdomen. Let your belly just soften effortlessly. You tend to unconsciously hold so much tension in the gut. As you breathe in, just thinking the words soft. And allow the belly to expand softly as you're breathing in. And as you breathe out, letting go, think the word belly. Letting go of any holding or any resistance. Once again, in your own time, as you're breathing in. Breathing in the word soft. Allowing the belly to expand comfortably and fully on its own. As you breathe out, think the word belly. The words soft belly have an impact on the nervous system. but also they serve as a focus point for the mind. If there's any mental chatter, just notice it. That's the monkey mind doing its thing, if it's okay. And each inhale, just imagine your belly being really cared for by the breath as you're breathing in the word soft. And as you exhale, breathing out belly, just loosen any holding or any tightness or any solidity in the gut. Let your breath make room in the gut. Just allowing any thoughts or emotions or sensations to rise and fall in and out of a really spacious belly. Breathing in soft. Breathing out belly. Since our belly is very often our emotional center, when we soften it, a variety of thoughts or feelings or images, sometimes even memories may just bubble up to conscious awareness. Whenever that happens, just welcome all of that. And on your own, just for a few more moments, breathing in the word soft, and breathing out the word belly. Softening the shoulders and the rest of the body, the face. Welcome all that, any conversation that might come up as thoughts or feelings, simply acknowledge them, observe them, and meet yourself kindly around them. And draw your mind gently back to your breath. One more round on your own, breathing in soft, breathing out belly. Very, very slowly, taking all the time you need. You can place your hands on your belly if you want. Just feel your breath meeting your hands, your belly. Very softly wiggling around your fingers and your toes. Before you open your eyes, if you want, just a soft smile to come to your lips. And then coming back to this session, present to whatever you're present to. And then you can open your eyes. And I'm just curious, once you're fully back, welcome back, and thank you for giving yourself an opportunity to take part in deepening in their mind-body connection. Go ahead, type in the chat, what was that like for you? What did you notice? Was it easy? Was it difficult? Were there any thoughts that came up? Go ahead, just share any experiences that you were conscious of during this process in the chat. What did you notice? Was it easy to breathe? Did you get a full breath? Very good. Excellent. And if you're watching a replay as well, go ahead and just leave some comments. That way I'm able to come back and reply to you. Amazing. So sitting up in your chairs and taking a deep breath and maybe hydrating if you've got something to hydrate with. I'm going to transition into the topic right now of lactose intolerance, because there's so much confusion, at least in the patients I see in the clinic, People come in with digestive distress and milk allergies and lactose intolerance or leaky gut or heartburn. What is really going on here? So the focus now in this session is lactose intolerance. And really, what is lactose intolerance? Simply, it's the inability for our digestive system to digest lactose. Lactose is a milk sugar or found in milk and dairy products. So we'll go into very shortly why that may be so. But lactose intolerance happens when the villi, and I'll show you a picture if I can bring it up on the screen share shortly, where lactase, an enzyme, is secreted to digest these sugars, isn't present for a number of reasons, and hence the body cannot digest lactose. And instead of being digested, the lactose goes into the colon where it mixes with the microbiome, the bacteria and ferments in the gut, and really causes havoc. And if any of you know anyone who is lactose intolerant or yourself, and I'll get to some of the symptoms, it's really quite disastrous. Let me share with you a picture so you're able to understand a little bit about what really happens inside our gut. So here is a picture of the small intestine. The top picture is a cross-section of the small intestine, and on the bottom left is a normal gut. You'll see those finger-like tendrils. These are called villi, and the top of these villi are actually where the lactose enzyme is actually produced. Now, on the right side is a small intestine cross-section of a person with celiac disease or a person whose villi are destroyed or damaged. Hence, they do not have that ability to secrete lactase and or to digest any dairy whatsoever and many other items as well. This research slide was taken from the Mayo Foundation for Medical Education and Research. So I just want to credit them for a great job and a very clear slide to help you get a sense of what happens in the gut with lactose intolerance. And if someone is lactose intolerant, so I'll get to that shortly, it's not a good idea to be consciously having lactose. I'll get to that shortly because it will damage the gut even more. So lactose intolerance is very common. It affects about 70% of people worldwide. And the most common symptoms include stomach pain, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, gas, nausea. And the research also points to headaches, fatigue, and eczema. However, these are less known side effects of taking lactose. Now, I just want to point out right from the beginning, because there is an area of misunderstanding here, the difference between lactose intolerance and being allergic to milk. Lactose intolerant, they are very, very different. Lactose intolerance, as mentioned, we don't have the capability, the person doesn't have the capability to digest lactose. But milk allergy is a whole different thing altogether. By and large, it's caused by an alpha S1 casein milk protein. Casein is a milk protein, and they're found in cow's milk, and the body, for many different reasons, has an allergic response to this protein, and hence has systemic impacts directly if there's an allergy, as opposed to lactose intolerance, where it's more localized, although there can be more systemic impact. Now, there are 4 different kinds of lactose intolerances, and this is really helpful to know, because if this happens to a person, you can know where you are in this, and some of them are healable, perhaps, or reversible. So there's something called primary lactose intolerance, and I get this a lot with my elderly patients, where it can just happen with aging. I believe that with aging, people take less care of the microbiome, or they haven't cared for it ever, and hence the villi, small intestine villi, become less efficient or less present to be able to digest lactose. So this can happen with a disturbed microbiome, with age, with leaky gut syndrome, breakdown in tight junctions, as I discussed in previous sessions. This is the most common form of lactose intolerance. The secondary lactose intolerance is actually due to illness or injury, things like gastroenteritis or food allergy or food intolerance or even a virus. And this could be temporary. That's why it's good to know that these categories exist. And very often, once the healing occurs to the gut, then within 2 to 4 weeks, the villi could be restored to great health again. And then there's congenital or developmental lactose intolerance. And this is like that picture I showed you earlier, where a person is born with either celiac or Crohn's disease or some other digestive autoimmune condition where the villi are not present or ineffective. And lastly, the fourth category is developmental lactose intolerance. And this is very often in preemies. A baby that's born, generally 37 weeks or before, they will have a temporary inability to digest lactose. And this is important to know because mothers sometimes mean well or caregivers mean well and will maybe give a baby a milk-based formula at this time, and it's not the right thing to do because it will impact their growth and won't be able to digest it properly and suffer more. And that will be completely reversible as the digestive system matures. So question is, how do you know if you have lactose intolerance? There's really two main ways: the quick home test and a more unpleasant, involved hospital test. The first one is really self-test. Stay away from all dairy products for a week to 10 days and notice how you feel. Just avoid dairy products completely. And very often, if there's a improvement in your digestive situation, there's no distress, diarrhea, pain, cramps, etc., then you know that's probably a culprit. And if you were to test by bringing back dairy and the digestive discomfort returns, then pretty much that's confirmation. And I wouldn't bother doing any more tests. I would just encourage you to listen to the end because I'm going to share some tips. But most importantly, stay away because it will damage the intestinal villi further. And if symptoms do persist, if you've done the self-test at home, staying away from dairy products, then you really want to either go for the hospital test or go back to your doctor to get some further tests, or see a functional medicine doctor, where we do a whole series of much more involved testing to see if this is leaky gut, if it's SIBO, if it's IBS or whatever else is going on. That way we can find the proper cure to bring it back. So the second test is a hospital-based one. It's called the hydrogen breath test. And basically, there's higher lactose challenge is given where the patient will drink lactose. And because if there's lactose intolerance, then as the body attempts to break it down, then hydrogen, the gas hydrogen, is given off. This hydrogen is taken into the lungs. And then when you exhale it, it's detected in the breath through this breath test. And this will then prove pretty much that there is a lactose intolerance. The test is a challenge for people who may be lactose intolerant because it will cause all the symptoms, and it's really an unpleasant thing to go through. So I would really recommend the home test first and possibly a follow-up if necessary. So the question I get from a lot of my patients and in my courses is, if you are lactose intolerant, does that mean I have to stay away from all of dairy? And the short answer is not really, but proceed with caution, meaning butter is very, very high in fat and has trace amounts of lactose. So very often my patients who are lactose intolerant but still want fried eggs and butter or scrambled eggs or butter, they can get away with it simply because research has shown that it takes about 12 grams of lactose to cause symptoms in a person who's lactose intolerant, and about a tablespoon of butter, 14 grams of butter, has almost undetectable amounts of lactose. So it's not lactose free, but it's very small. If you wanted to have a tablespoon, you can. But the key thing is listen to your body. Some of my patients have found that they can still have certain cheeses, hard cheeses, aged cheeses, Swiss cheeses, etc. Cheddar could also be low in lactose. However, other cheeses like cottage cheese or cream cheese or ricotta cheese tend to be higher in lactose and best avoided. Some people just like it black and white. If you're lactose intolerant, stay away from dairy, and other people like to live on the edge. However you like to play, just know that there is a little bit of room to move, but you will be the decider of that, rather your gut will be the decider of that. I want to just mention something really parenthetical. It is a big topic. It's not for now, but since I am discussing dairy products that could be tolerated for people who have lactose, I want to just go off piece just for a moment on the topic of milk, because as I was researching and putting this Mind Body Monday together, I came across some very powerful research articles. I've known about this for a long time, but it was nice to see fresh research coming out of the New England Journal of Medicine. That was a fascinating research article by Dr. Ludwig and Dr. Millett entitled Milk and Health. And they point out that contrary to popular belief, milk recommendations for Americans are not science-based and may have many health risks. I'm not going into the topic now. I just want to sort of mark it for the sake of completeness. I'll give you an example of what I mean. That milk was pushed or is pushed for being a high calcium drink and good for bones and teeth, and most importantly to help prevent hip fractures. So meta-analysis of research showed these researchers that milk intake varying from virtually none to more than 4 servings a day was totally unrelated to hip fractures in men and women. And remarkably, countries like Sweden that have the highest milk consumption have a higher risk of hip fractures than lower consumption countries like China. I wanted to just put that in because we're discussing, lactose intolerance and possibilities of having dairy, and I personally am not a fan of high dairy diets at all, and I'll touch upon some alternatives in the meantime. And there are many, many better sources of calcium and better sources of nutrients. I'm not going into dairy now. If you're interested, you can type in the chat with enough people. I can do a Mind Body Monday on the topic and how that affects the gut, the microbiome, and emotional health. But for now, many of my patients who are lactose intolerant actually still have symptoms. And they're off lactose, but I point out to them that the problem is really not reading labels properly. So I encourage everybody to always read labels, because many, many foods have mixed in lactose for all sorts of reasons. One of them is for taste, including snack foods, bakery products, candy, boxed breakfast cereals are a biggie, sometimes even dried vegetables, and specifically infant formulas. I'm a big fan of moving babies off milk formulas if there is any eczema or colic, anything like that, put them onto a different formula. A question I get a lot is, Avraham, I love my coffee. Can I have milk in my coffee if I'm lactose intolerant? I'm only putting a drop in. So the question is, if you really want to use a low or no lactose milk, and you'll be better off, but shortly I'll share with you some of my favorite alternatives, because the analogy I explain is, imagine if someone has 3 thumbtacks in their heel and they go to the doctor and they're limping, and the doctor, they say, doctor, I've got this pain in my heel, and he takes off the shoe and the sock and he looks and he sees his 3 tacks, and he just takes out one of those tacks and he says, okay, off you go, problem solved. And the patient puts his foot down and he's through the roof in pain, because there are another 2 more brass tacks in his foot that hasn't been removed. Now, what this analogy is really about is someone who is lactose intolerant. If they removing all forms of lactose, but still peppering or flavoring their diet with lactose here and there, and still having symptoms, they really need to go cold turkey and remove lactose completely, remove all of those thumbtacks, so to speak, and allow the gut to heal. And that way you can enjoy your pain-free digestive system and a happy gut. So I'm going to share with you and show with you some of my favorite alternatives. Now, I still encourage you to read labels. I'm not endorsing any of these products, but there is Almond Milk. This is a local brand, Almond Milk, and I make my own almond milk. There's a very easy recipe. You can check that out online. However, I like to read the sugar content of these drinks. This happens to have 3.2 grams of sugar in 100 grams. I like to go for zero sugar alternative. Another option is to have coconut milk. And this coconut milk has no sugar in. So I'll just, let me open it and just show you what it looks like. There we go. So this is the show and taste part of the Mind Body Monday. There you go. Kind of white, looks like milk, a little bit watered down milk. I don't know how that will be in your coffee. Delish. I actually like coconut milk. It has a lot of great qualities. The other one I like actually is a oat milk. Again, you can make all of your own. They're very simple, but you can also buy them. Look at the sugar content. This one has 3 grams of sugar per 100 grams. I like to have no sugar. I'm just going to do a taste test. Now this one, I'll give you a trick, by the way. Let me see what this is like. It's delish. There's the oat milk. I think it's the 3 grams of sugar that does the trick. However, this particular brand, for those who like coffee and don't want to have dairy, this works in the Nespresso frothers. Most liquids don't, but this one has the viscosity right, so that works very, very nicely. Another alternative is almond milk. Again, you can make your own almond milk. What did I show you before? Yeah, that was also an almond milk. There's a different company. This one has no sugar. And almond milk is very, very nice, very delicious. Easy way to make it is just soak your almonds if you want 1 cup of almonds to 4 cups of water, blend it. If you want something sweetener, you can put a date and then put it in your blender and strain it out and enjoy it. Okay, that was off piece. Okay, so those are some of my favorite lactose-free, dairy-free products. One of the questions I get a lot is, is soya milk a good option? Now, soya milk is lactose-free. Obviously, it's dairy-free. However, I want to, as a cautionary note, it contains phytoestrogens. These are plant-derived estrogens. Research shows that just drinking 2 cups of soy milk produces levels of isoflavones. This is a soya estrogen derivative, 500 to 1,000 times higher than typical estrogen levels in women. So if a person needs to be estrogen sensitive for whatever the reasons, just note that soya milk has phytoestrogens in that. And then lastly, people ask me, what about lactose-free milk? Yes, lactose-free milk is an option. But as I said, as a caveat, I'm not a fan of milk. I'm not pushing milk in any way. Read the research yourself. It's quite interesting. Okay, a lot of people ask me, can lactose intolerance be reversed? And studies show that depending on what kind of the 4 categories of lactose intolerance a person has, symptoms can be definitely relieved. And I'm going to get to some of those very shortly. But there's a lot of research about the microbiome. I've covered this in previous topics. And with a healthy microbiome and good probiotics and prebiotics that encourage lactose digesting bacteria, as long as we have a full rainbow color of different bacteria as well, there could be a relief in lactose intolerance. More research is needed here, and for the time being, encourage your a broad species of your internal community, your microbiome. And if you are lactose intolerant or dairy intolerant, then just give it a pause or lighten up a little bit. So Lastly, people ask me, Avram, what can I do if I accidentally had something with lactose in that I shouldn't? Or decided, the pizza or the milkshake or that ice cream is too good and I'm just going to tuck in. What should I do? Are there preventative measures? Are there things I can do before, during, and after? So here are my top 3 strategies for how to deal with lactose intolerance once you've been exposed intentionally or otherwise. Is number 1, stop. Don't consume more of whatever it is that will cause you a problem. Number 2, take lactase. Lactase is an enzyme that is specifically designed to digest lactose. So if a person has dairy products, then they can take this enzyme and it will help digest the lactose, the milk sugar, and therefore mitigate a fair number of their symptoms. Now, please be warned that I do not recommend someone who's lactose intolerant to intentionally have some lactate or lactase enzymes and then down the milk or whatever happens to be. It's a little bit like putting on your seatbelt and speeding on the highway and hoping not to bump into anything. Or sometimes another analogy is like someone who has a headache, putting on a helmet and banging your head on the wall. There's going to be repercussions. So it's not a good idea to short circuit the body's intelligence. Rather, respect the gifts you've been given and the strengths and limitations and work with that to the best of your ability. The third quick first aid thing you can do if you were to have some lactose is take activated charcoal. There was some interesting research by Dr. Peter Vardas of St. Michael's Hospital in Toronto, and he found that drinking activated charcoal after accidental exposure to peanuts after peanut allergy could further block absorption of the allergy-causing proteins in the body. I have used this strategy and use it personally if I've eaten something that didn't sit right with me, or recommended to my patients, is to have some activated charcoal. It's a good thing to travel with. It's a good thing to have in your home medicine chest. There are little tablets. The interesting thing about charcoal, it has an enormous surface area. And when we digest, 4 or 6 pills, then there's something called adsorption, where the surface area adsorbs huge amounts of offending substances and therefore mitigates or softens any digestive distress. My last strategy is to take what's called enteric coated peppermint tablets. These are peppermint tablets, peppermint oil that has a special coating around it, capsule, that passes through the stomach acid and into the small intestine, large and possibly small intestine, and alleviates discomfort. So those are 3 strategies. Once again, stop lactose, take lactase enzyme, take activated charcoal, or get a hold of some enteric coated peppermint oil. In my home, I have all of these, either to help guests, to help kids, or even if it's not based on lactose, if eaten something that's bothered the tummy, this will help to readdress it. And obviously prebiotics, probiotics, discussed this in depth in previous Mind Body Mondays. Check out the replays. So those are my favorite first aid to help restore gut health through lactose. I hope you found this Mind Body Monday interesting, and I'd like to leave you with a challenge. If you've got any questions, go ahead, ask them in the chat. If this time I'll address them perhaps, or include topics in next Mind Body Monday. So here's the challenge, your invitation for you watching the live or the replay or listening to the podcast. If you suspect you have a lactose intolerance, the challenge is do the home test. Stay away from any dairy products for a week to 10 days. And let us know next week how you get along. What did you notice? And if you are not lactose intolerant, you tolerate milk very well, then in light of the research I shared earlier about milk, maybe you just want to explore with adding to your diet some of these, the sugar-free versions of almond milk, making your own, or coconut milk, which is absolutely delicious. This one is an oat milk. All these can be made on your own and just bought in the local store. So this is the challenge: dairy-free for those who are bothered, and for those who are not, try and experiment with adding, different milks, oat milks, and etc. to your program. Thanks once again for joining Mind Body Monday. And if you haven't yet joined our very active Facebook community, I invite you to do that. The replays will be posted there. I'll be posting the replays on YouTube as well. And you can join my channel to get notified when they come out. Thanks once again. And I really look forward to seeing you in next week's Mind Body Monday.